Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the show. So for all of you who are tuning in for the first time, allow me to reintroduce the panelists to you. I'm Jolanda.
I'm Alesta.
Ayana.
Sakian.
Alright. So, first and foremost, happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's, guys.
Oof.
So,
happy Single Awareness Day.
seeing that everybody is here tonight, I want to assume that my fellow panelists don't have any dates. They're not engaged. Can you guys give our viewers a little bit of the reason why you're here, instead of living your best life in the street?
The show is a priority. And teamwork with my bae makes the dream work.
Who's bae?
So, the producer.
Our viewers want to know, what's the producer's name? Huh? All of them? Sakian.
Well, I'm here because, as Diana said, the show is priority. I mean, the wife understand, and that's good. That's it, and that's
wife. So, no entanglements over here.
No entanglement.
Wait, points. Only point does tangle.
I'm also here because I know just to get the support on her show, so it's the show. For the show tonight.
So, wife you gotta understand.
You just gotta
So,
understand.
I wanna take priority over wifey.
Yes. Just for the show. So I'm only gonna be here for about an hour.
You see that deal?
Listen here, wifey. Put him down. Put him down.
You see
this
that?
man ain't for you.
Oh my God.
As for me, no comments.
No comment.
No, because
you're wild. Steve, you know you got
so,
she wild.
As for me, no comments.
So, where is the date? You get out later tonight? You went out this morning?
The show is my date, period. Let's go.
The real question is who she carried out later. I'm carrying her out later. We're going on the road tonight.
Yeah, the show. Yeah, understand.
So, let's jump right into the first hot topic. So, this evening, the first topic we're going to touch on is police harassment. Hashtag, should the police be police? And this topic came about based on a video we saw on Everton Power's page. It was basically an individual, a police officer standing on top of an individual back. We actually have two videos, but we're going to show you the first video and then we'll show you the second one after. So producer, can you play the first video first, please?
Yeah, right now the video.
Which one? Which one? Right or left? Which one? Right or left? You want right or left?
You relax?
Yes, I'm
okay. Put your hand back.
Which one?
This one.
Left one.
This one. Why is why you get in trouble? What's that?
Yeah,
okay. Here's why
you jump on the man in the train, eh? I'll go, sir.
So, blood boiling, right?
Disgusting.
Honestly, it's like, yeah, we don't see a calm breed in America, but like for it to be here, like why would you do that? I know the man ain't resulted into dying, but like why would you?
How in the end result is not going to be he's going to die. You hear the man say he can't breathe.
Well, the end result could have been that, but luckily it was not that.
So,
you know?
Before we jump into it, we would like to give you a little bit more background on why this occurred. But sadly, Escape Vibes, the police page, all them missing out a lot of the information. I just think we saw something a week ago or this week saying that it's been investigated, but they didn't really give us any information on what led to this. So if you have any little insight, leave it in the comments. We want to hear. Because, I mean, and one of the other questions we have is, does the end justify the means? Because even though the police might feel as though he had to tame the individual, why did it have to be to that extent? I don't know if I could tell me if I think had any reason, anything that could justify you being so extreme. What you guys think?
Right? I mean, the thing with the police, yeah. The Babylon system, yeah. Really, that, yeah. I mean, everybody got to work, eh? But as, come on, you can't be signing up on nobody.
Back.
Hey, come on, they need friend.
And it's like, is there
Even if you
is there a protocol that he has to follow? If you see that the person is being unruly, don't you shackle him or what's the protocol for you to train them and they got in the drain?
With his face.
With his face into the ground, and you don't feel nervous.
But are you fine? Let's talk with. So let's say what
everybody talking.
No, we want to hear you now. We want to hear you.
But for me, I think that we have to question the use of excessive force, especially from our police system. Last year, I don't know how vigilant we all are, but you know, there were the big talk about the Black Lives Matter movement globally, where literally I think about 40-something states all stood up, even in Europe and other parts of the world, in the fight against what was it? Not Trayvon Martin, the other guy, George Floyd case. So for me, I just think that sometimes we just have to know our limits. And like it makes me ask the question: what was he doing that was so incriminating that you literally had to push him down into a deep drain with his face plunged or submerged into a drain and still stand on his back?
You see the thing is, in America, like their justification is racism, but what is our justification?
Exactly.
Is it just a power struggle because you have the authority? You just take advantage of these.
Definitely. Definitely, and it's not even only if you want to arrest somebody who's committing a crime. You find that it's just even giving out tickets. They just abuse the authority. I am a victim.
Even the traffic warden.
I am a victim of being abused and getting tickets recklessly. Just saying.
But you sure you don't be wrong?
Sometimes not.
Watch. Let me tell you why people like, because when I spoke earlier, first thing I say is but
Babylon
and the system, you see? One of the reasons why people like the police, people like Jolando, is because police don't really like wrong. People ain't like here when they're wrong. You understand? So the police job is to bring you up when you're wrong.
I don't remember saying I was wrong.
The man guy written here. Don't drive without your seatbelt on. But people like Jolando.
No. I just
well, go stick Jolando now. She works in the house.
I'm fine. You're making me a target because I'm a frequent.
Somebody has said a kid.
I hear what
I'm a frequent.
I hear what Saki is saying. Right? It also makes me ask the question of, okay, so when do you really enforce it in terms of excessive force? As you mentioned, as the case with the person standing on the person's back. I mean, if Jolanda coming from home and just before she even settled herself in the vehicle, she might have kind of rolled up the road a little bit. I mean, you really gonna stop Jolanda and take it at $300?
I find Jolanda is the only example. Jolanda is the only example.
That's the two things with it. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, but the two problems with it, they ain't really using the excess, they ain't abusing the power one way. They're giving a ticket often is them abusing the power, right? To you, right? And in the next way they could exhibit this use of power.
Abuse of power.
Is when is the amount. Because what was gonna give $150 buckaroos to go down by inland revenue to pay? When if you go inland revenue,
because the courthouse. And let me tell you something, right? Sometimes by the courthouse, and sometimes ain't even the fact that you give me a ticket, so you're gone just to give me the ticket. That's how people just really get into things, you know. Because even when I go pay my ticket,
could I do you that? And let's start like
listen,
check it out.
I've had
But in video.
No. But let me say, I don't think any of us could really answer that question truthfully, because a lot of times too, person will say, but that could never be me. And if you see 2020, that just gone there, that year just shows like the whole that could never be me situation is really, really, you can't really
it could be anybody, but they wouldn't
target.
And also preconceived ideas.
If you look a certain way, but because he probably involved or engaged or a part of or come from a particular background, the police then they want tap you down, check you out.
I think they have preconceived ideas where they profile persons, and as a result of the profiling, then they actually try to deal with the situation and use the excessive force that might not be necessary. And that's
definitely.
They need to have a standard in place that if Ayana should not be smoking, let's not smoke at all. We don't say Ayana shouldn't be smoking, but it's okay if Sakian does it because he's a male or because he comes from a certain city.
Guys, let us get into the next video and we continue the police stuff. We ain't got nothing to say after. So this other video is where we have a police officer taking off a man's clothes. So, producer, let's go again. The viewers.
Oh, you really just said, take it off a man's clothes?
Yeah, taking off the man's clothes.
2-man police?
There we go.
Well.
Relax.
The man do nothing.
You know I do nothing.
The man do nothing.
You know I do nothing.
The man do nothing.
Okay, you take these. Okay.
The man do nothing. The man do nothing. Mali, if you say
Mali. Well, me and myself. Relax.
I feel like they got thrill out of embarrassing people. Honestly, because I say one of my issues even with getting a ticket, it's not even just getting the ticket. No, what I'm saying is that in general, it's just how you just overreact. Be like, what is the point in even going to far?
Abuse of power? Is it when the man put on the uniform and the hat and the sheriff badge?
Everything is in every aspect.
Right, I think it's a boost up. Though. Because as I said, they probably don't get filled out of
even security guards. You get it
with their flashlight. With their flashlight and the whistle.
One of the questions I started with is, should the police be police be policed? And Ayana said to me before the show, but Jolanda, how could we really police the police? And then I was telling her, but there's a chain of command. Not everybody there's all of the police officers aren't on the road. Some of them might have a department head, I don't know how we term them. But in that case, if you know that we have an abuse of power issue going on with the police officers, come from behind the desk. Even if you circle around, drive, even if you got to go on the little beep beep like those. Circle around, drive, like that's one of the ways. And the police, your own police officers, like it should be, but you see what happened is that I think that's so easy to agree with each other, and so much of them have the mentality that where we white and we always white, and that's where the issue with the whole police and police gonna come.
But why you got babysit the police who's supposed to be reinforcing the laws?
Why you got babysit the babysitters?
Yeah, why you got to do that?
Yeah, that.
You know, it's ridiculous. It's a matter of I trust you enough. You pass the exams to go out into the streets and reinforce the laws of government or the laws of our society. And you're going to study and abuse the power. And so, if I supposed to be policing you, an incident happening right here in the circus, but I probably in Irish tongue or something, you know, I can't be out here babysitting you. So, why the penalty is what we need to look at. I think that
would be the best.
I just wanted to interject.
I just supposed to ask where you think the change is going to come from.
Right? For me, I always just find it ironic, right, that a police, the training process for police anywhere in the world is about 3 months, right? But yet still, a lawyer goes to school for about 8 years to learn the law and turn around and understand the law, to turn around and defend or agree with the law, right? So I always find interesting that how well are these persons trained to be able to properly execute the law and know when and how to use their power when they're sitting down, and it's almost like they're not getting the justice that they rightfully deserve.
But you see, what they did do was put the press release saying it's being investigated. That's all they did. It's still insufficient, but yeah, they did put out something that's saying it's accountable by the office and who is in charge. And because they're not being held accountable, that is why they're getting away with what they're doing.
I'm kind of glad that you bring up the bank
That's a point.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a real point. You move, especially when you're like how you be in the office.
It should be who you are, and you continue to keep that level up. No, but you should, because you know what the rules are. Once you play by the rules, you know what I mean? But I'm glad she mentioned the bank talk, and I'm glad that the incident happened with National Bank on Friday. Now we straight away with it. But I'm going to also say that at least they submitted 2 public service statements to support the issue that they were having, whatever the issue is. And we're not going to get into it because that's not the topic. But I'm just saying that to say that there was a concrete statement from their public relations office to say this is what's happening, and also send a supporting statement. So
It's
the
like
same
a
thing
whole
that
week
if
for
the
the
National
police.
Bank can say something, the police who is civil servants serving the people should be able to say
Address it where it's
something.
That's
I
another
just
thing.
went
They
away.
pick and choose what to put releases out
Exactly.
on. They pick and choose.
Exactly.
Like
because
point blank
they have a
period.
justification
No, but in
on what
everything,
they-
even like
I
crimes
would've said,
committed,
yo,
they pick and choose.
Really and truly, there's no justification behind the means. There's no justification behind the means. We're gonna suspend you. We're gonna take you from off the streets. We're gonna do something like, yo, don't got this man out here doing them kind of things to people.
And
When-
just to add to what you said, Ayana, what happens now, like in the US and Canada and these first world countries, when that person now can go into a Walmart. I remember the same George Floyd when he was in a Walmart and people saw him and they were like, what you did was wrong. I don't want to use the inappropriate word, but what they were saying, what you did was wrong. And as a result of that too, is like, what if that person had reacted? What if that was my brother, your brother, Sakian's brother, Jolanda's brother, we reacted and we knocked him down just out of anger or rage, which is basically getting our eye for an eye concept. You know what I mean? So people have to be mindful of the action because today for you, tomorrow for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's what you put out there. I'm a strong
Big
believer
facts,
of that. I
big
mean, I don't know if Sakian agrees, but that's where
And
my
it's
headspace
sad
is.
that it's sad to say that this is what was recorded. These instances happen on a regular. We just don't see them
Regular.
circulated like
I
it's
wouldn't
on-
really
It
say
happens on a
I
regular.
wouldn't really say though it's sad that it was recorded. It's actually a good thing that it was
It's a good
recorded
thing, but-
because at least the evidence is there, and at least from this situation it might stop the next 10 situations from happening based on this situation. And luckily the person is still alive from what
Yeah.
we
You know, and that's the power
I get
of-
you mean the
Social
humiliation, no?
media.
That's the power of social media
and
now.
technology.
People
Technology.
need to, like, honestly, when you see something bad happening, take a video of it, not a matter.
Of
It
to
depends.
publicly humiliate.
To publicly humiliate. To publicly
Humiliate.
But it's a matter of simple
Creating
Awareness.
Awareness.
Yes.
It's an awareness.
And informing.
Awareness.
There's how much things that does well to informers. Inform on these things that actually need change. Carry them up
But you
like
see-
carry them up by the headquarters, even though others act like some real a-holes up there too.
What do you
I done
think
had my
is going to
experience.
happen
It's
if,
true.
Like, yeah, we take all these videos and so on. You think change is going to come
over
from
time.
that?
Over time, I think that is the general
Oh,
hope. And I think
well,
even
the minister put me here, so.
no, I think over time the general
Everything is
change will
politics.
come. I remember even hearing
Everything
from
is
the Black
politics.
Lives Matter movement in New York and stuff like that, and they were speaking and saying, how is it? I remember they had actually a quota of how much lockups they were supposed to do for the month. It was almost like a job. I guess just similar to what Rose does. She calls out and she polices.
Yeah, that was
and they had a quota.
Definitely.
What I'm saying is
Rose.
that, you know, what came out of that interview was that they said, imagine you are from, let's say, Harlem in New York City, and you live on 123rd and Lenox, and you live in the block with these same people that you've grown up with, you've known all your life, and you turn around, and because you go downtown, jump in your cop car, jump in your uniform, you come and start locking the same people, and walk back to the block at 10 o'clock in the night, it's unfair.
Exactly.
And how do you expect people to respect you knowing that you know their situation outside of the job? So you still have to use your own wisdom to kind of create that balance. You know what I mean? I think they just have to know when and how to use their power.
Are you saying Sakia?
Thing we do, yeah, I agree with that, but people like, anyone but some police, it's like they wouldn't just care.
Say
Like, you're like, I
They
got
don't
this
care.
notion of me, and oh well, so be it, like, I'll feel
I
me.
didn't
Because
know
some of them be looking like, yeah, so I bet
so
sometimes
just target us.
she just like a big pen. Where she,
Yeah.
you know, I just give she a ticket there, what she know, no? She gotta go pay.
It's not only give me the ticket, it's how you're going to give me the ticket.
Yeah.
Yes, I am a victim. As I said, I do not
Victim
like
of-
it. I do not like the
That was
attitude.
your car.
But even the traffic
If you want me one
wardens,
time, I had to be like, listen here, take your license, give me the ticket, please. Let me come go. Like,
Even the traffic wardens, them, like when they are like on a Friday afternoon, when they're telling you, come, stop, they're gone bad. It's like, what the
I never
attitude for? I
experienced
guess
that.
because they're in the sun. No, but I want to got attitude to it.
Yeah, stand up in this one for
They're
them.
gone bad, and most
I
of the
mean,
time,
they're gonna change soon.
Yeah, them
I
stop
don't
lights
want
there,
to
man.
bash them. But honestly, a lot of the time, they look very unprofessional and untrained. They will block up traffic for 5 minutes.
what do you mean, in allowing one to take a car?
Yeah.
Intersections and stuff, yeah.
They will block up traffic for 5 minutes, and it's like, it's better if you just let the traffic flow. Like, we need you. Like, I appreciate you, I appreciate why you're here, But like, it goes back to us saying it. When you put on the uniform, they feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
I went from time, she said,
You gotta go.
Honestly, sometimes when I pass the police station, I just roll me eye and be like, listen here, all I need is just. So you think,
But
honestly,
some good ones.
do you guys think that it comes from the reaction we get from the police come from this mentality that the mentality that I already have? What do you guys think? Do you guys think our mentality to naturally react to them because we expect them to behave a certain way? That's why they're just ready to react to us. What do you guys think?
No.
I think. Listen, I believe in the quotation that says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," and I think that you got to be that person that's different. You know what I mean? I mean, Rose right now want to be that person that enforces the law, right? And she really don't care.
Rose wants
you
all
like
the
a
most.
motivational
Period.
speaker. You just remind me of how the world's supposed to be.
I think that
Oh.
at the end of the day, it goes back.
It's like really like you're supposed to be the change.
So I
Yeah,
feel
just giving a
like
different perspective, right? We're trying to
It's
deal and focus on
it's like a utopic kind of thinking. Like I like it. You're gonna help us change. When
I
I
think
feel
it
it down.
depends. Like once you get any position you're in, it's like sometimes you just forget where you come from.
Correct.
You just forget.
fact.
Power
I'm not
gets to the
saying
head.
that I suppose if I get a
managerial
position, I supposed to be sympathetic with you
Yeah,
at all
because
times.
you know, yeah,
me
yeah.
saying that, oh well, I know should have worked for him jobs or whatever. But the same thing is I said, you abuse it.
the power.
Don't abuse it.
But how you know the line?
Do
though?
what you have to do.
The line to cross.
Because if you end up, okay, so you was working for a room first and you end up the HR manager. And you know the man in the foil room, they was come up telephone and do as the police, right? You know that because you was working there with them. When you come HR manager, you think you abusing your power is you telling them?
No, because that's my
So
job.
how you know the limit?
When you shove me head down in a drain and put me knee in
then.
your back,
I just asked
that's
you a
the
question.
limit.
Yeah, and Alice made
Before that.
a good point about the pressure.
You know when it's
All like with
limit.
the reference in the Black Lives Matter movement, it came from the social media, the protests. So and over time you did see change. So I guess when it comes to us, we are as I say we small but we taller. So now we show we real that we could be real taller and pressure the system. You see something, break the silence.
Yeah.
You see something, say something.
And honestly,
Even if we got to go committee, send the videos to us.
Talking
Let
about
we
that
go
way.
for them.
talking about that way, I feel like singing is such a complacent. Our youths, we're so complacent. We know what needs changing, but instead we talk about it. We talk about
No,
it.
instead we do something.
Instead we do something.
We talk about
we
it.
talk about it. We go on Facebook. But Facebook, them kind of things can't do. You gotta write a letter to the government and send it in. You got you have to be active. You have to be proactive and not reactive. Honestly.
So I main thing is us being complacent.
We're very
us
complacent.
being the youth. I mean, I feel like okay. I feel we got excuse to be so complacent then. Because it's like these things ain't new. I remember a long time when Sugar Man on the road, 2005, 2006. Policeman just a grab man and a box. Boom. They're jamming in the band. I mean, they're doing nothing wrong. They're jamming in the band and the police box them up. You check? So it's like you get complacent because it happening so long now.
It's so much of the norm, yeah.
And it's like the generation before us probably was dealing with the same thing and probably was complaining about it or like trying the
but
same
them man they
things,
had a batch up. Who was with batch up? Who was
But
with
nah.
batch up of this generation?
I wouldn't even say it's just
Well,
he made a good
seriously,
point about
who's with
us
about
being
it.
young and go have over time we got to accept it, and then it takes away from what you said about the young. So it's not just us, the young people, and we have some. Say older people watching. It's not on us.
The older generation.
It could be on both of us.
Them they are calling on radio stations. Them they does
to tell people good morning.
one man.
So that's calling on the radio station.
No, they just really calling on the radio station to
They just do the same talking.
voice their opinion.
So they're no better than us. So
But
you
you
know,
think
both
men are
generations
calling and
need
leadership
change.
matters, and so they're calling directly to speak with the Prime Minister. Young people don't call in.
But calling that talk over.
The police brutality.
Right.
But guys, I think we had a mouthful on
We could
police
go on and
brutality. We could go on and on.
Watch now.
But
Police done it.
we're gonna interject with a little bit about sophisticated wine before we get into the next hot topic of the evening.
which is our sponsor.
Yeah.
If you see everybody in the
Sakian.
glass.
Hit us with a little
What are
information
we
about
drinking?
Sophisticated wine.
Yeah. So sophisticated wine. This is the empty bottle. I'm sorry.
We kill it.
So we kill it.
We
It's
kill it,
dead.
we kill it.
This is dead. Okay. Sophisticated wine, fragrantly sensational, as it describes it. You know, this is forbidden fruit, aka apple. Cause me, you know, Eve ain't gonna make it hard for all man. But we ain't gonna talk about that.
But one of the biggest things about sophisticated wines, where was it manufactured?
Look, hey, you see, people say
with the best
SK not got nothing, and SK don't support their own. But this is a local business,
I mean,
supporting a local talk show. You know what I mean? Everybody here, the youths, the person that, the entrepreneur, a youngster, a young man.
Very young.
So I mean, we here young now, so it's just like we supporting each other and not being complacent. You understand?
So guys,
So yeah, vegan, all natural.
Are you
from
having
food.
tea?
delicious.
It's good.
It
Tasty.
is really good. Honestly, guys.
Yeah, this is where you need to be. In a fete, nothing keep you right now. So
Yeah.
just
This
be
year for
cool.
my panelists,
The most
who
important
will be going home tonight
Uh-huh.
to whack it up.
You know, yeah, man. Some people
As I said, who going home tonight?
Whack it up.
I understand.
Yeah, some people making bed rock.
Some people just
Yeah,
So guys, support
Good luck
local.
support the local.
So now let's jump into hot topic number 2.
Mhm.
Ayana, I'll let you take us away with that one.
this one really touchy. This one bad,
Them
bad.
say the thing tough. Continue.
Yeah, it tough. It bad, and we ain't trying to knock nobody, but
Facts is facts.
we recently had a submission of a video of this gentleman who called in on Leadership Matters, which is the Prime Minister's talk show, basically. And the gentleman called and he was basically talking about the fact that I am unable to get the support that I need. How do I move from here? Producer, play the video so the people can see.
Not
Yeah,
producer, today's Valentine's. Boyfriend.
Hubby,
Babe.
babe, soulmate, chicken.
Chicken. Yes, hobby.
Yes, I want to ask a question to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister had this same show, saying that basically that you can able to go to the bank and get a mortgage that to build a house that you wish. And I went to the bank and I went to different bank and I get denied because the bank saying that my wages is too small. So, but the information that the Prime Minister are putting out saying that that you can go to the bank, I feed off of that information, and I went to the bank, and the bank telling me that my wages is too small. So I would like to know that a young man like me that really want to start, really want to be empowered, because I took a next step because I didn't really want to wait and the government to give me a house. So I took that step and I went to the bank because I wanted to empower myself. Now I go to the bank and I get declined. So I end up back in the government hands. I wanted to know that if the Prime Minister can use his power to empower me as a poor man who works for minimum wage. I just want a start. That's all I'm asking for. I just want something that I can hold accountable for. My own place.
So that was the caller's remark. Basically, he's unable to get a mortgage. He wants to empower himself. He wants to do what he has to do without relying.
The man
He said he wants.
The man no said a mortgage. The man said a mortgage. The man want a mortgage. That one they value more money than a mortgage.
He want a mortgage to empower himself. So make the necessary steps in life without having to rely on the government. let's say the Prime Minister's response now to this situation?
Mortgages by nature are determined by those who are going to issue them. And yes, they would look at your salary, look at your income in order to ascertain whether you will be able to repay. So that is a critical requirement. And of course, the outcome of that cannot be determined by me. You will have to be determined based on the information that you would submit to the bank. When we discussed the mortgage plan, the mortgage was being facilitated by the government, making a certain sum of money available to the bank to assist such persons. And we had worked an arrangement where those who succeeded the processing would have their mortgage at 5%, which at the time, and perhaps still is, the lowest available mortgage generally in the country. But of course the government can, and we have put such a facility in place. Hundreds of persons have benefited, and that continues. But it's not everyone who will be able to benefit, because if you are living in such a way now that you have very little income in reserve, then clearly you will not be able to meet the mortgage payments. So that's just the law. The government will continue its home, its property ownership program, and the National Housing Corporation, NHC, will be the main entity engaged in the provision of homes. And the target group, of course, will be those at the lower end. So you have the option of waiting on the government, as you have put it, via the NHC, and you have the other option if your income is healthy and you can finance a mortgage at 5% or thereabout to proceed to a lending institution. One of the things we have to encourage our people to be aware that a home is a lifetime investment, and you have to plan for it, and you have to be prepared for it.
Oh, after this is the video.
Time for music.
I am.
So yes, that was the Prime Minister's response. That was the Prime Minister's response to that particular individual situation. So my question that I'm going to throw out there now is, do you think it is the government's responsibility to chop down the trees for you to have a direct path to success, or here's a machete, here's a shovel, here's some steps, here's some weed fertilizer or whatever, and you take those assets now and pave the way for yourself?
I feel like I should go first on this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the mantle and go first. I'm not saying, for me personally, I think everybody's economic situation is different. I think they all come from different situations. There was an interesting video on YouTube one time that spoke about privileges and those kind of stuff, where some person grew up in a single family home, some person grew up in a home with a nuclear family, some grew up in a house with too many siblings, etc., etc., etc. But I think personally that there is unity and strength in power. So I think by a lot of times, a lot of persons, they don't have the know-how to actually go from their poverty alleviation methods. And by that I mean actually changing from saying, like for example, if a single parent has 6 children, right, and they're all living at home or all living in a home that they're renting, and they're all, let's say, making $2,000 or $2,500 a month. If all 6 of those children, including the adults, was to just pool their resources together, that would then mean that that household would now have a salary on paper of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14,000, which then means that the economical situation has changed. And by that, if they go into the institution or any lending institution, they can go ahead and allow them the opportunity to pool and gain assets and also change their poverty-led situation from a negative into a positive. A lot of persons don't take the time to actually see what the learning institutions provide and actually try to pool their resources, because they would grow up in a house which all they know, there's 6 siblings, with the one mother who go working hard trying to support them and say, oh, I'm not going to help Ayana to support because Ayana don't do this, or Ayana doesn't do that, or Sakiana do this, or Jolanda doesn't do that. Rather than pulling together and saying, hey, we have $14,000 salary between us, and if we use this and we get a mortgage and build a house that gives all of us some level of independence, or our own apartment, that we would have still go out there and pay $1,000 each rent minimum EC. They don't think that way, and as a result, that changes the dynamic of their situation.
So what happens when you don't have 6 siblings and you're an only child and you're an adult? You don't move out your parents' house.
But not only that, in a situation where there may be 6 siblings and the parents, and maybe you could pool the resources together. Well, if Susie got 2 children, Tommy got 1, Angela got 3, you know, you got to bear in mind that when they get the salary being chopped down by their personal responsibilities as well as the house utility bills. It's like all I got to factor in.
Which is factored in, but like I'm saying still,
he's saying
based on their
one
salary,
is better than.
If all of them were to pool together, if those 6 person or 3 person actually go and say, oh, I don't want to live with Ayana because I grew up in the house with Ayana and Ayana, my sister, I'm going to go out and pay $1,000 rent, rather than staying at home and us as a household pooling our resources, because it's further ahead as a household.
No, I definitely agree with the pooling of resources, but what I'm saying is that in some people's situation is such that the responsibilities cut it down, right? But onto a somewhat, well, close enough topic, just the whole idea of self-empowerment, and back to whether or not the government should chop down all the trees or hand you the tools,
essentials,
to actually chop down the trees and get there, right? I think that in a lot of the times, I think at a lot of the times that people actually prefer for all the trees to be chopped down, and as a result, they forget the whole idea of. They forget the whole idea of
empowerment, of you taking initiative and doing it for yourself.
Okay. I'm always a biased person on these kind of topics because I did not grow up in a rich household. But my mother raising me and my siblings by herself, she got by, not with 1 job, 2, or maybe even 3, what needed to be done to provide by any means possible. So when I see people in certain situations, it's not that, oh, girl, it is more like, let me sit down, let me really think about it. Don't take the 1 job and don't feel pitiful for yourself. Let's see the different means, the different alternatives. You ain't had to work 3 jobs all your life. But let's see what else you could do to better position yourself instead of just waiting on the handout. Right? That's how I see, like, self-empowerment. Think about your different alternatives and how you could get to where you want to be.
Do you think that that's why there's so many CEOs in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Continue. That's
the question. Go ahead. Do you think that people are not able to, the salary that they get in itself is not able to suffice?
Definitely.
And to pay the bills. Because the spending power in St. Kitts and Nevis, let's be realistic, you get $100 today, $100 done today. Yeah. So if it is that you're working on a salary, you got bills to pay, you got children to feed, you got miscellaneous expenses, etc., etc. Your salary is done.
Yeah.
So what do you do? How do you get by?
So that's why. So as a result of people trying to get by, they turn CERs, right? Because it's easier to make money, quote unquote.
And for the public, let's explain what CERs mean.
Chief Executive Retailer.
It was reintroduced in the last show. Introduced.
Yeah, man. Nobody's CEO. A lot of them is CERs. But that's probably a result of it. But in economics, right now, we're learning the marginal propensity to consume, MPC, right? And the lower your wage be, the higher marginal propensity to consume. As in, every dollar you get, how much of the dollar you're spending? Right? So you get $1.80 in. You're spending, the marginal propensity to consume is a lot higher. Right? So, yeah, that's a result of your wages. You know, the lower your wages be, the more you spend. in comparison to your wage. So yeah, that is a little economics. So you go that you're a little smart too. Don't feel like you just.
So I guess the conversation also comes back down to the fact that we are not put in the position in the first place to be more empowered, because the wages we are given, the minimum wage in general, is not enough.
Yeah.
I guess that's the conversation, that the minimum wages need to be increased.
There's a living wage and a minimum wage, yeah? So the minimum wage is the cheap 60, but the living wage now is more.
Definitely.
So it's like we're paying the living wage instead of the minimum wage.
I agree 100%.
But in that case, right, we're talking about government empowerment. Don't you think that the government have enough programs for us to take advantage of it? The government has.